College campuses and sexual violence, sexual violence being one of the most underreported crimes across the country. That for every 1,000 females on campus, there will be 35 incidences of sexual assault or sexual violence. And we have a culture in some instances that is acceptable to sexual violence because they don't want to talk about that particular topic. It's a very difficult piece to speak to. So if they don't have to talk about it, they don't have to see it, it's not occurring, we don't have to worry about it, so I don't have to do anything to prevent it from happening in my community. Sexual violence on college campuses is not just a woman's issue, okay? It's a men's issue from two perspectives. One, the majority of perpetrators are men, but most men are not perpetrators. Okay, keep that in mind as well. Two, males can be victims. 1 in 6 men will be the victim of sexual violence.
And remember this about the sexual misconduct. This is male on female, female on female, male on male, right? This isn't just gender-based. The real issue comes down in all of these cases that most often it's a he said, she said, right? There's no other witnesses. That's why the Department of Education is so clear on this preponderance of evidence, because it's too easy for colleges then to say, well, you know, it's kind of a he said, she said, so we can't prove it either way. Preponderance of the evidence is something showing that it was more likely to happen than not. Right? Each step of the way, you need to know what your partner wants, and if the partner says, enough's enough, you need to stop.
I've been a police officer for 13 years in the city of Albany. I've been a detective for almost 5 years now in the Children and Family Services Unit. When we respond, the first thing is, I say, most of the time it is not the guy jumping out of the bushes. And I don't have a stat on this, but I'm telling you it's probably 10%, if I was going to guess. I've arrested probably 25, I just said, sexual assault cases, and I want to say maybe 2 was the guy that just grabbed her off the street. That's the one that sells papers, okay? The one that doesn't sell papers is the boyfriend, girlfriend, who basically, she's just met the guy and they've been dating 3 weeks and she doesn't want to have sex, you know, in the dorm room, and it's, you know what? He does, okay? And he forces himself upon her. And that is what is called rape in the first degree. And that's the same thing as the guy jumping out of the bushes, tackling the girl, beating her up and raping her. It's the same exact crime, okay? Because obviously we know, and I hope you guys know, no means no.
I'm a very honest person and an honest therapist, but therapy is a very personal experience. If you're a female, and even a man, but I would say probably more a female, maybe you shouldn't be walking around, you know, at night by yourself. And I'm not talking about within the campus necessarily. I'm talking about outside, you know, Partridge Street, by Brubacher, those places. You know, I know at least they did have security available. Do they still have that to walk with you? Okay. So those are the things you need to think about, is how to keep yourself safe, how to make sure that you are not in unsafe situations. Okay?
Was passed the Clery Act, known as the Campus Security Act, I believe it was 1990. In any event, there's a federal mandate that campuses educate their students with regards to what's taking place on their campus and around the campus. The Clerys obviously took exception to the fact that they had no idea what was taking place on that campus when they sent their daughter there. So they carried that issue to the state legislature in the state of Pennsylvania and got legislation passed that essentially mandated campuses to make their communities aware of what was taking place on it and in close proximity to it relative to crime.